Hello. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. It's another beautiful day from Key West, Florida. I was gonna sing that song, that courtship of Eddie's father. You know, people, let me tell you about my best friend. Well, that would be what Bill Bixby would be singing to his son. And when I was a child, I really would have loved a relationship like this with my father, because it really brings to my heart that when I used to watch this show, how loving this guy was to his son. Well, anytime he got close to my father, he got really, he just were never good enough. Just either too loud or too something or just not enough. It was a situation where someone was governed by fear. So, in fear was the household that I lived in. So I had a fear of father already. I don't have that fear of him anymore. I've gotten over that a long time ago. And now that I've met my new mother, I've gotten over a bunch of other things as well. When I saw her last time, she held my hand, and whenever I left, I got this little kissy poo from her, and it was really cool. This is my mom. So welcome, mom. Welcome. It's beautiful. So, anyways, let's get on with this business here. There's many different ways to teach this idea of God in our Bible, and there's there's also a way of talking about the cadence, what comes first. Here we are in Genesis here, Genesis 1:28. So that's a 10, right? Or 8, 9, 10. Yes, so it's like 1:1. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over everything that moveth upon the earth. All right, so this wonderful little bit of saying here talks about replenishing the earth at the very beginning, just after God just made it. And so, that might be a clue to most people that when we are talking about Adam and Eve, we're not talking about the first human beings on earth. I've talked about this before, but the idea of replenishing earth, it represents other parts of the stories of our Bible. Like whenever a new Jerusalem comes in, it's a remembering situation where God remembers us and makes us whole. This is part of a prayer, and that when we get done, we're restored. We're back to health. This is the bring a mother and father back to life. And it's showing us in the situation that it says here to replenish the earth. That means to fill the earth with something, to refill it with something. And in our Bibles, we know that in the long run, when mother finally shows up and she pours out, it's like this wrath of God. It's like this copious amounts of, it's the wine press. They were thinking of it as a blood, the wrath of God. But in reality, it matches up with the story, with that little stone that is hewn and hits that statue in the foot, and the entire image is destroyed. It's the same thing. It's this idea that when the lower mind is put to sleep, then does our seed is released from our within us. All right. There's something within us. This is what the Bible all talk about is, there's something inside of you. If you can let this out, it will save you. Do something cool, in your name. And so this is the idea of when we finally set this free, it rushes into mother's arms, and mother and he set fire to the earth. And this fire to the earth is this idea of purifying Father, takes the hell out. And when that happens, that's the replenishing the earth. This is in the story that the rock, this small rock that was hewn towards this image that shattered it and destroyed it, was this, and then filled the earth. This little rock grew into a giant mountain, filled the entire earth. It's the idea of just filling copious amounts of spirit. It's the moon turning red, which is filling the entire. This is Mother coming in. All of this is about what were you before you were. Before we were all in poverty. We all come to life without Mother. We come in our world empty of our mother, and we substitute her for religion. But later on, we would find that we didn't need religion. Well, I mean, we did. In order to even be in the field, we had to go through the religious side of things. But without these instructions, would we never find out that all of this is really what's going on inside of us? So the word is very important, but it's the idea that once you got the word down, it's the spirit that we're talking about. It's the spirit side. It's what's inside of us. And so God wants what's inside of us, wants us to let loose what's free, let him free, whatever that is. All right. And that is our seed. It's really beautiful. So in all of these stories, it's about that. I've been listening and reading, or not reading, hardly doing much reading, but Buddhists. I've been listening to Buddhist stories, and to the Buddhist situations. I'm going to be doing I'm going to show you how they match up with our religion. This is Buddha and Christianity and Judaism, at least when it comes down to this code. It's so beautiful. And I just love listening to the Buddhist teachings. They all come in numbers. They'll say chapter this or chapter that. And when they have these chapters, they got numbers, and you add those numbers up and you'll say, that comes to 5. So this is going to be obviously about the body. It's going to be about the person itself, Or if you get a 3, it'll be, oh my goodness, it'll be the wise man does this, where the not so wise man does that. Because it's always one way or the other in the spiritual world. It's someone who's an inside guy or someone who's an outside guy. Someone who is taking it to heart or someone who's wearing it on his sleeve. So anyways, I hope you all are well. I'll be chatting with you later. I'm going to go pay some bills and get connected to the world, but this is like an admin day to me. And the show was up and running last night for the story of Prime Time. And maybe I go in and get a little video of the work I did for them, But anyways, I hope you guys are well, The reason why I would call Satan, our best friend is because he's our skin. He's you and me. When you realize that this is who we have to be at first, Satan, he's the one who brings us things that we want. He's almost like Santa Claus, And if we're going to go this route with him, then we have to give up our soul. But we didn't know that. If you do not know how to read our Bible correctly, you wouldn't know that. You believe God's with you, Jesus with you, everything. Even if you're waiting for them to come, you have some sense that they're with you in some way, So yeah, we're in a place where you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself, and these are situations where everything is about you. So when we have to hate our mothers and family members and stuff like that, hate mother and father like Jesus hates them, that means that at the beginning, this is the father. He's rude and he's crude and he's got horns and he's got this bitch hanging on him. You know, yes, he hates that side of him, but then he loves this other side. Whenever he's loosened and let loose, let free, that he becomes the Prince of Peace, and he brings in peace of mind. He brings in mother, and everything comes to life. Then everything is better. Then you come to life, and father is shackled in a way that it's not shackled. I won't say that because it sounds terrible. But he gets, this control brought into life, and you are given back the reins to your own self. That's what all these stories are about. He can gain control over himself. This is that idea of eating, consuming the lion, lest the lion consumes you. But if we start off this way, we're going to start off this way, and we're going to wind up a certain other way. And like the story where Jesus, he wakes up and he's inside of a vessel, and all of his men are in there with him. You see that is a symbolism for the body. You are the vessel. Jesus is in there too. He's hanging out with his disciples at the 12. And so they didn't even know he was in there. Jesus was asleep. And a storm was brewing outside. Now, this is the same way when it came down to it, with Jonah. He was hiding from God. He was way down deep inside of this boat trying to hide from God. But no, he wasn't. He was inside. He was going inside. And even his travels were while he was in the midst of things. God said he's going to raise someone from the midst of you. He's going to listen to him. And that's our seed. That's our child. That's the only way we can get into heaven, by this child. I don't see why no one doesn't understand this. Learn how to bring this child of yours to life. Let it loose. Let it free of its garments. Let it go and do its job. Go meet mom. Bring mom into your life. Let her hold your hand. Give you little kisses. It's a good thing. It erases the brain. All right, I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. Hope you're well. And if mom, you're watching this, I love you too. Certainly do. Pops as well. Take care.